not those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robin are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robin on the mic.
Welcome to another episode of Lisa and Robin on the mic. You are listening on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live as well as YouTube Live. We are always up on Spotify. And I was saying that the definition of words isn't even the same. So when I say the word ecstasy, what do you think of?
The pill.
Okay. It used to be like a sexual term.
Yes.
I was listening to a song from the 80s by K7 called Move Like This, and he's singing about ecstasy, but he's singing about sex. But now it's a drug. Mm-hmm. Rendezvous used to be like meeting up and getting together.
Clandestine affair.
Yeah, and now it's a military operation.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I don't know that it is, but
or like a meetup.
Yes.
I like that, though. Hey, let's meet up. Let's rendezvous.
I want a rendezvous. I don't want to meet up. I want a rendezvous.
Let's rendezvous at Sopranos. Or what's that new restaurant? Opus. Or that.
Opus. Yeah, that's the one.
I meant to look it up.
What is the name of your restaurant?
Somebody's calling in. Fuegos. If we ever open.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me see if I can get someone.
So one of the things I was thinking about, you're talking about electrolysis. From here to now. The difference between electrolysis now, like and laser, you know, we have all this stuff at our fingertips.
Yes.
For hair. We even have like the sugaring. We might have had that back then.
We had Nair.
I was going to say Nair. We had Nair, and it always like, why would you even want to do that to you? Like you buy the big bottle of it, and you get what's like so razor burn, and you get like, you look like you got the chicken pox. And it's like, I'm never doing that again. But guess what? You still do it again.
And with the Nair, so I used Nair once on my bikini line, and I was like, I'm never. Yeah. Looks like I have like something contagious. I'm never using that again. Like, don't go near her.
Well, that's why I said the chicken pox. Really?
Yeah. And because he would see my legs, and I would literally cut my legs.
Yes,
I was
yes,
constantly
yes.
bleeding. And so he's like, you're using a dull razor. You need to warm the skin with hot water. And I used to shave him because once he got his glasses, he couldn't see. So I used to shave him. So when he was like, you got to do it like this. And it's like, yeah, it's just like you're shaving a guy's face, only your legs and other body parts. The armpits was always easy, but I still didn't like the armpits. You could never get enough water on it, like to really
and
make it.
I also feel like you get a dent. You get that hole right there.
Yeah.
And
it's
sometimes
such
you get some
baby
scragglers.
skin. Yeah, and you get baby skin under there. I just want to be molested.
Yes.
So, yeah, so that was funny. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think some major changes, like when I think of my mother's generation, she felt very out of sorts with society at large because she wasn't a hippie. She wasn't into free love. Do you think it's just because it made her feel uncomfortable? Those were not her people.
Yeah.
Those are mosquito bitten, dirty, unshowered
Dreadlocks.
Because I said
Patchouli.
to her, patchouli in a field for 3 days, not my mom's scene.
Yeah.
But because I was like, I thought you would like that with all the drugs. She was like, I didn't like those kind of drugs. I didn't want like that kind of experience. You know, she wanted clean house couch.
Yeah.
She had very specific drug
I just
requirements.
vacuumed. I want to see the vacuum lines all day.
High as a kite.
I'll surrender my vacuum lines at 4 o'clock. That's it.
She wanted me out till 6. I'm not getting rid of those.
But you know what?
vacuum lines at
I used to be very anal retentive that way. When I vacuumed my carpet, that was one of my chores. You know, we had to vacuum our own room.
Yep.
I had to get my lines just right, and it took me a long time. Then sometimes I get a little bit older, and, you know, it's stupid what you think as a kid. I used to take my hands and do this because I didn't want to vacuum. I hated getting the vacuum out. It was a canister, and
It was
would
heavy
get
for your
caught
skinny
around
arms.
and your thing. It just was a pain. And so I was like, I would pull my carpet like this and get all the way down. I actually think my hands did a better job than the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, if you're using a
Easy
dirty
to
vacuum, definitely your
stupid.
hands are better.
As a kid, I don't know. I don't know where the bag is, but yeah. I was just thinking about how you change over. Thank God, best investment we've ever had is buying those Roombas.
I saw a Roomba lawnmower.
Really?
A Roomba, not Zumba, Roomba lawnmower. And it was making lines in the thing, and it was bouncing all around because it wasn't a level
Wow.
lawn. I'm like, this, I don't know how the
How's it
laser
going to get over
working.
sticks and acorns?
I have
and,
no idea. It wasn't a big
I don't know.
lawn.
I'll
It
tell you
wasn't a
what,
big
because I like a clean floor, and then Chris has got this thing that it's always plugged in. It's just a quick. It was for the shop, and I used it a couple of times, and I'm like, oh, I like this. It's so lightweight.
Mm-hmm.
It's also really easy to do the steps, because our house has that whole house vacuuming thing. But who wants to take 120 feet of
Cord.
hose around? And I'm like,
Oh,
no, I'm
hose,
not
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
And it's gets stuck around a corner, and some of it falls through the slats when you're going down.
I
the
never
steps.
feel less. I never feel more clumsy than when I'm using the vacuum with the cord or the hoses, because we used to have central vac at one of our
Yeah.
houses. Like, it was always just like I'm knocking stuff over.
The idea was good.
Idea is fantastic. Execution
Yeah.
terrible. So when I used to do lead abatement, they require 2 layers of plastic, and when you pulled off one, you had to vacuum one of the layers of plastic, and then you could do whatever. And have you ever tried to vacuum plastic?
Yeah.
And I thought, whoever made this should come out and do it. The first time I'm trying to do it is on the job with Chris in Lebanon. And
Oh.
it was like, it was probably 10 years ago, whenever it
It'd
was.
be so funny to have those videos.
Oh my! And I was like, I was laughing because I'm like, is this a joke? Like, I'm rereading the directions because I'm like, is this really what we're supposed to be doing?
Why do you have to vacuum the plastic?
Because the dust. It's the dust from the lead. Lead is not dangerous when it's
Oh,
intact.
right,
it's the dust from it.
Right.
So yeah, so it wanted this completely dustless environment. It's like, yeah, but we have the tools that do the dustless, drilling
Yeah.
and all that other sanding. It
Yeah.
sucks it in. So the idea of this plastic just seemed archaic to me. I get the 2 layers of plastic. You do one thing, roll those up, then you'll have that much less dust on the second one. But vacuuming as a requirement just seemed like this is why no one's doing this work properly.
Seems like they should have something that they could set. Like on Ghostbusters when they put the trap and it sucks the
ghost in
the ghost in. You should be able to tape it off and seal it all off,
and just suck the air.
and then you suck all the air out of it.
And that's it was funny because
high
every time
pressure.
you'd go through the training, it was like there has to be a better way than doing this. But this is,
Do they still have a better way now?
I have no idea. I haven't been doing it in a long time. There was no financially. It was like $10,000 a year to maintain. It was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to pay or do it.
And don't
So-
you have to have a suit?
Yeah, you have to be completely Tyvek'd up, and yeah, it's hard work. But I feel like the lawmakers who made the instructions on how to do it, I don't know if they were consulting the construction group that had to do it. And I think if you left it up to industry, hey, we're going to make this requirement. We need 0 lead dust after you do a project. Figure out the best way to do it and bring it to us, and then we'll make that law.
Yeah,
I think that would have been the better way to go than people who have
people
never
actually
been.
do it and figure out how to be efficient for
Yes.
it. Like when I was working at the lab, new protocols and procedures would come down from corporate, and I'm like,
They'd come down from on high.
I want their job. Who sits around the table and says, "Hey, I think this is the best bad idea we've ever come up with. Let's go get the minions to do it."
Well, this is the problem with, and this is how I joke, and I'm saying this jokingly, but I'm actually saying it very honestly. If you've never done something before, you need to be the last person making rules
Right.
for anyone else to do it.
Well, it's
If
great
I've
rules. Great rules of Grey's Anatomy. See one, try one, do one, or what is it? See it, do it, be it.
So when these lawmakers, these legislatures, so we had a parking thing, and So I called the parking department and said, hey, what do they do? They said, there's free parking up on Temple Street. I said, that's over a mile away from this building. They go, yeah, but they can walk. I go, they're going to walk a mile to and from their car every time they want to go to their car. Does
Right.
the mayor do that? Does the mayor do that? Does
Right.
anyone, does
in
anyone,
the winter
does anyone,
with kids and groceries.
does anyone in the parking enforcement office do that?
Right.
Are they walking a mile to? So to ask this group of people because you won't. Well, the rule is X, and it's like yes, but this street meets that rule, but you still won't give them parking. So, and I think it's a matter of someone who doesn't have the problem solving the problem.
Right.
It needs to be the people who have the
Right.
problem solving the problem.
Right. So I used to work in a lab.
But I solved that problem.
We hired.
just so
How
you
did
know.
you?
I went to all the businesses around and I said, hey, how much for parking? If I can have dedicated parking. I got ranges from $100 to $400, and then I found a free one. But I need the free people to give it to me in writing.
Yeah.
But so okay, it's $100 a car per month. Okay, now you have parking. No one can tow you or ticket you.
Right.
And it's across the street from your house.
Right.
So yeah, it is $100. I'm sorry. It's the best. It a block away the other direction is free parking, but I don't until I have in writing that
That's
they won't tow
terrible
you.
that they can have a property and not provide any street parking space.
And the street is so wide that you could have parking on both sides and fire trucks can get down no problem. So it's not a safety issue.
Right.
It's a big wide street. There's no reason for it.
Sounds
Just
like
because
it's
it's
just
not
like
in the zone.
An ego issue.
Well, it's
Somebody not willing to
they've got this rule
actually
that-
work for the people.
Yeah, this area gets overnight parking and the rest of Nashua doesn't because I don't know if they don't want to deal with it or whatnot, but God bless everyone who lives in Nashua that doesn't have street parking.
Oh, that's terrible.
Because not every building, and then the city says, well, you need 1.5 parking spaces. Well, some of these buildings were built before cars existed, so they wouldn't have parking
Right.
spaces. Right?
Right.
They wouldn't because they wouldn't need it because there weren't cars
Right.
when this house was built.
Right.
There was also no refrigeration.
Yes.
Dealing with old properties is hard.
Well, it's like we used to go.
But you're not making it any easier to make new housing stock, just saying.
No.
It's not it's not easier.
Because the truth of the matter is, people don't care and they think, "Oh, I've got bigger problems." But no, you're listening to your people.
Housing's a problem.
Yes, housing is
Parking's
a
a
problem.
problem.
Parking is how. Yeah.
So, but
Because how many
anyways,
people are in these buildings that have kids, that have small kids, or have families that need parking?
So I will tell you, I would not walk. If I'm walking over a mile, I'll give up my car and take the bus, which is right there.
Right.
And that's kind of their idea. But people, their job's not on the bus line,
Right.
right? They actually need a car
To commute to Boston or
to
Yeah,
pay for
anywhere.
the rent
Right.
in this very expensive city.
yes.
This very expensive life we have
Yes.
requires them, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I've always never been the person to tell people not to have cars. I've always,
Yeah, I don't
People
like-
need to have whatever they need to have for their existence.
Yeah.
But my point on that, I don't know how. Oh, the vacuuming.
Yeah.
Okay, back to drugs in the '60s. I'm just going off on a work.
We were going
tangent.
to talk
Don't
about
let me
sex through the generations.
Oh yes, talk about.
but
sex
yes,
through the
no.
generation.
I want to hear the story.
Oh, just that my mother wasn't.
She wasn't into.
No, she
The
was into,
hippie.
She wasn't into the hippie thing at all. She was into. She didn't want to not wear a bra. She wanted to look cute. Like she had nothing in common.
So
And
she didn't
knew
think
those were
wearing a
people-
bra looked cute, or like no
not
bra.
wear- No, she wanted the bra to be cute.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I did go through a phase like I wanted my bra and my panties to match and wanted them to be all lacy. And truth of the matter is, I hated Victoria's Secret's bras. They always were uncomfortable and they never fit just right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like they just, I don't know, quality didn't. So I haven't shopped in Victoria's Secrets in a while.
Well, they had to pay those Victoria's Secret models a lot of money to not eat
That's true.
and walk down that runway looking cute, right?
That is true.
And that was the brand was back to our generation. You got kind of free soft porn sent to your house.
That's true.
In the guise of a Victoria's Secret magazine.
Yes.
I actually had a boyfriend who said that he used to masturbate to it. And I was like, why do you have so many Victoria's Secret
That was probably one of the
things
first, like,
in your apartment? Like,
Yeah.
why do you have so many of these in your apartment? And then I was like, oh. Oh, okay.
collector's special edition. I'm saving them as an antique. What are you going to call? When you do a priceless.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, it doesn't work when it's sticky. You know how when you buy like the Barbie and you never take it
Yes,
out of the box and
Can't be played with.
Yeah.
Has to be a collector's
Sorry.
edition.
Yeah.
Can't be played with
Yes.
or used.
No sticky or torn pages, buddy.
But anyways,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
So,
counts.
so yeah, my mother that wasn't her thing. But to talk about, sex from her generation, they had the generation of free love, but they also didn't have the sexual diseases that we have today. They always had like chlamydia and gonorrhea, because I think even Van Gogh might have had either chlamydia or gonorrhea, and they think that's why he
I
lost
thought it was
his mind.
syphilis.
Oh,
The
you're right.
Syphilis makes you, and that was the king. What's his name?
Don't get history lessons from us. But the
I
thing
know.
about Van Gogh is true. They thought he got it from a hooker that he was sleeping with that he was painting. I read that. I read that in his letters.
Yeah, and because I think like untreated syphilis it makes you go crazy.
Yes, it does. So I think the generation of free love, I don't think they had access to the information either that we have today.
No, well, even going back like when we were talking about in the 80s about gays and stuff, my parents worked and they lived 45 minutes away from where they worked. And we got home from school, we were latchkey kids. And if you didn't catch the news, we had 3 channels. We had ABC, CBS, and NBC. If you didn't catch the news, you're going to watch it at 10 o'clock at night. And, I was up at 10, and that's the last thing I was going to do it. But we just were my parents didn't raise us where we had a TV downstairs in the den. It wasn't upstairs. The radio they didn't listen to the music. Mom listened to music when she was cooking dinner, and it wasn't like, so if you heard a blurb or something, and then they had the newspaper, and like, I'm a kid, I'm not going to read a newspaper. I would read the weddings and the cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't care about the rest. I mean, it could be, nuclear bomb on the front page. And I was like,
But I do think we've been frightened. I know my generation, for me up here, and you're my generation too, but up here, we were like told, hide under your desk. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
see,
do you know what a nuclear blast is?
we're like a country mouse, city mouse.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
exactly how that
So
is.
did they tell you, did they
No.
do drills about hiding under your desk
No.
in the 80s?
No.
And so this
We're
is
lucky
where,
if we had a fire drill.
really. So that's really interesting, because we were told to hide under our desks. And I remember distinctly going, I don't know much about a nuclear blast, but I know Hiroshima was leveled. I don't know anything.
I don't think about hiding under a desk will help me.
Right, because between my parents who did a lot of reading and whatever, right, I know that like a city was leveled. So I'm pretty sure me under my
Yeah.
desk has nothing to do with anything. So the trust level of adults,
Yeah.
0.
Yeah. Yeah.
0. I'll figure this out myself. I'm just going to blow up. Like 0. I don't think I want to be alive after the nuclear bomb.
Well, that's kind of how a while back we had the Boston bombings going on, and we had China that was threatening to, throw their missiles at us, and my sister was on she's like, I can't watch, how do I watch the news? I can't turn away from it. And she's like, what if they're going to launch a missile? Like, well, I don't want to be sitting in front of the TV watching it happen. I want to be going out and making something of my life happen. And it's like, because you can't change what you can't change. And like, people will have the news on non-stop from the
And then they
moment,
wonder why they have anxiety.
or in their bad mood, or they're stressed out, or they're always like, all the low vibrations. Literally, if you're one of those people right now, I challenge you to turn your news off. Don't look at it. Maybe look at it for 5 minutes at the end of the day. Or even, I would rather do it in the morning, but
Ruin your day in the morning, or don't go to sleep at night.
Right. But like, if you can forget it and like go through it, like, people want to know, like,
I think being exposed to all
Jim
of the bad
Lawrence would
things,
be
like
like, oh, shaking his head, like, she's
disapproving of
doing this.
everything. When I was looking through what was going on in 1993, I was like, wow, this was going on in Somalia, and this was going on here, and this was doing this, and this, and it's like, it's never not in turmoil.
Right.
The human condition is turmoil, it seems.
Well, think about how
but
many
we didn't
millions
have to
of
know,
people.
Like,
Yeah.
I remember Czechoslovakia. Was it Czechoslovakia? Czechoslovakia became Czech Republic, and
yeah.
Slovakia.
Yeah.
Like, so our globes, I remember being like, the globe has to go. Like, this is an old globe.
Yeah.
Throw the globe away. It's useless. They're changing borders on countries.
Right.
This globe is useless.
It's true.
The
And
Pluto,
even when
Pluto
Russia,
was a planet.
Yeah.
Pluto was a planet. Then they're like, get the Pluto off the planet chart. Pluto is not a planet. And you're like, what are you talking about?
but why do you feel the need to change it after so year? It's like once you know better, like okay, well, we're still going to keep it in our solar. It's still in our solar system.
But I just like that kind of always blows my mind. And then it blows my mind in a way because when people say things like, oh, I could never do whatever because it's so unsavory, it's like, do you think the people in World War II could have said the same thing? Literally, the world was
Right.
under a world war. Every country was under
But
a
look,
world
even look
war.
at the great, look at 20s, late 30, 20s and 30s, like the Great Depression, the World War One, World War Two. Like you have that many people living together, there's always going to be some turmoil.
You can't even have a family of 5 get along.
Right.
So what? So my point.
A patient of mine said to me, he loves family, and he said, but when they come to visit, like he said, always remember this: family's like seafood; it's only good for 3 days.
That's a great saying.
It's true,
Because I was
right?
thinking, you think you're so enlightened, be with your family for a week in one house.
Yes,
See
yes.
how enlightened you are
Yes.
at the end of that week. Yeah, ask me how enlightened I am.
Because everybody has their own routines, their own quirkiness. Like they have their own,
Yeah, stop getting up at 4 in the morning and
Yes.
rustling around in the kitchen,
yes.
doing dishes.
But we've been fighting for land and territory since we've been here.
But what I think is, I also think there is, for the people who are going through those travesties and those injustices, yes, their life, you can't say the same thing we're saying about our life that you can say about theirs.
Right.
However, if your life isn't that, you almost have a duty to be appreciative of it.
Yes. Yeah.
You almost
absolutely.
have, like I have all my arms and legs. I should almost be appreciative of that. I should.
Almost. Almost,
If they're too
yes.
fat, though,
Yes.
I'm not appreciative.
Well, but the thing is, we take for granted. We actually
Yes.
literally do take for granted all the things. And,
Yes.
and going back into like our gratefulness, our gratitude, is we focus so much on like, oh my God, my heart has been racing, and I think my blood sugar's a little bit up, or it's just a little bit up. You can still change it. You're not on a medication, but look, you have both your arms and your legs. You still have sight. You still have sound. You have hearing. Like we live more in abundance than we do in a deficit, but we're always looking at the deficit.
And
We're not-
we're hardwired to do that because we still have old brains. We have new lives.
But don't you think
Old
we
brains.
have a duty to expand? It's
Old
kind of like
bodies.
we talked about it last week, but and we've talked about it this week. The difference between our parents at their 20, 21, us at 21, and our future right now at 21.
Yep.
And all the differences. It kind of goes through all. We've all
But
been
it's all the
expanding.
same,
Yes,
too.
because you know what? We haven't been looking in. You can't fix out before you fix in.
That's true.
Because you start projecting all of the stuff that's out, or we start receiving all the stuff, or we're not filtering all the outside stuff. We're, ad nauseum watching the news, or want to be up on latest on the politics, instead of like, what am I going to do to make me happy today?
What am I going to do to make myself a better person, get myself more organized?
One
That's
of
the Jordan Peterson thing.
But this
Fix
is how,
yourself.
yes, but still how simple it is. I love driving with the windows down. I love feeling the fresh air, even when it's hot. And I was like, I used to be in a mindset. I know it sounds so simple. I used to be in the mindset of like, no, the windows are down and I can't have the air conditioner on. I'm like, no, I'm a grown ass woman. I can turn the air on and have my windows down.
That's right. You can.
And I'm like, so I do it all the time. And I'm like, because I was so like, oh, don't waste your air and don't waste the gas and don't do this and don't do that, You don't put 93 octane in your car and worry about wasting gas.
Right.
You just don't.
Right.
If you're going to be worried about it, then ride a bike.
Right.
Get your little fan. But so we have, I think, gone over and over and over again.
But I think what's happening is so much information is paralyzing so many people because it's just everywhere. And then once some people say it, then other people say it because they hear it. It must be true. It's like when you hear that comedian that I love, Bent Washington or Washburn, he says, you just have to hear something 3 times before your brain believes it. So if you hear something 10 times, you're really going to believe it, but it doesn't mean it's true for you.
Right.
It might be. So I was
It's
looking
why
up.
marketing. It's like commercials.
Yes, like it doesn't mean it's true for you. And the reason, I don't know, we were kind of doing the generational thing, and I was thinking when I was reading that Anxious Generation book, he was talking about, we're all vitamin D deprived, but our children will have less vitamin D by like 6 years because they're outside so much less.
Yeah.
And so we think about this technology, about what it gives us, but we don't really evaluate what it takes away. If it's I start to think that the technology
We don't really weigh the
takes our
consequences.
peace. It takes away my peace because I'm never caught up. I'm never caught up on email. Every day I have to delete over 280 junk emails from no matter how many times this one's junk, this one's whatever, sorting it. That's waste of my time.
It is.
Of my precious life that I'm on the back nine. Right?
I think when you decide that when you start valuing your time, I think you start letting go of and actually choosing peace. Peace doesn't come to you and happiness doesn't just come to you.
You choose it.
They accentuate what you focus on and what you focus on. So I have two really quick. The highest noted vibration is authenticity. It vibrates even higher than love. Imagine love is not the highest vibrational force. Truth is. The idea that when you are authentic, you're radiating a frequency of truth and you are not holding back parts of yourself, leading to a sense of clarity and alignment. So the truth is, you had just said it. What's your truth? So it doesn't matter if 3 people say it or you hear it 20 times. Pause long enough and say, what is my truth? What is my truth and what do I want? Because I think being authentic is you have to be authentic with yourself first.
Right, because the life of your dreams comes from figuring out what you really want.
Yes. Yeah.
Because if you're doing what somebody else says you can do, you can be very unhappy.
Yes. And I also think that it's, it becomes less about more than the physical things that you have than a state of being. I'm going to be around with the right people. I want to be around this kind of energy. Life is an echo. What you send out comes back. What you sow is what you reap. What you give is what you get. What you see in others exists in you. Do not judge, so you will not be judged. Radiate and give love, and love will come back.
Very nice. I like that one.
I think those.
I like the authenticity piece better.
Yeah.
Authenticity.
Authenticity. It is.
Say that 3 times fast.
Is that one of those drunk words who might stumble?
That is going to be my drunk word now. I can say authenticity is my drunk word. It's no longer cinnamon. It's going to be authenticity.
The best part of being authentic.
See, I'm sorry. Now
authentic.
You caught it.
Yes. The best part of being authentic is that there is no image to maintain. You will delight some and disturb others. Discern the truth of your being. It's just like the news. Like, don't get caught up in all that mess. Not mess, but
when you said that truth is a higher vibration than love, I thought, wow, we now live in a world where every single place is a question of truth.
Authenticity.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's why maybe push a lot of it out, since maybe back in the day the gatekeepers were a problem because they could make propaganda, but you know what, now everything is a propaganda and so much of it is not true.
Yes.
There are a million people saying the earth is flat. The earth is not flat.
Look at all the information about COVID.
I know.
I mean, not to get political.
They're asking all of these they were asking some astrophysicists if the earth was flat, and he was like, stand on the top of a 100-floor building, stand on the bottom floor of 100. When you see that the sun has dipped and you can no longer see the sun, raise your hand. You're all not going to raise it at the same time. And I'm like, this man is so smart. He's figuring out wormholes and stuff, and he's still being made to answer, is the earth flat?
Yeah.
Or provide an argument.
People just, but why do you care?
That
At the end of the day.
I don't care.
Right.
But these people are out voting.
Right.
Maybe they shouldn't. Maybe should have that voting card pulled away. Maybe you're not intelligent enough to vote.
Maybe you should actually. Maybe we should have some, stricter guidelines about who votes.
Just because you have a social security number.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe.
Just because you can blink and have a driver's license.
Maybe.
Anyway, so let's go back to sex because we're running out of time.
We love talking about sex.
So one of the things, talking about taboo and how things have changed over the years, progression, I've got a few it goes from like the 1920s all the way to present. One of the shows that I used to love watching as a kid was the Newlywed Game.
Oh,
You know, they take the wife and they take the wife backstage and they ask questions. I remember being a kid, and the question that the guys asked, what's the
favorite place to have sex?
no riskiest things? What is the riskiest things that your wife wears to work? Or what's one of the riskiest, sexiest things that you're, I forgot how they worded it. Taboo,
Yeah.
a no-no.
Yeah.
The guy said she had on a shirt that you could see her bra strap through.
Yes.
And how that was like, oh my God, you can see her bra.
Inappropriate.
Oh my God, I remember being in 5th grade. We wanted those training bras so bad,
Yep.
just so you could see our bra straps on the back.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true.
Do you remember that? Like, oh
Yes.
yeah, hell yeah, I'm wearing a bra.
I remember not buying shirts because I didn't know how to wear a bra with it. And like that, the
Oh
strap
yeah,
wouldn't
not show it. Yeah, not show it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then because the strapless ones never worked, they never look good. They either push everything down or they leave a big gap, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, you sit down and everything comes up, and then you've got this big old air gap in
Yeah.
there, and you're like,
Yeah.
that doesn't work.
Yeah. So I was gonna. The funniest one from the Newlywed Game was where's the oddest place or the something about where you've had sex. And
Where's the wildest place you had
yes,
sex? Or
where's the
something like
wildest place you had sex or something like that? And the woman answers like the bathroom at work or whatever she answers because I don't remember her answer at all, so I'm making that up. And her husband
Right.
says in the butt. Back then,
Yes.
on whatever channel.
So I think that's got to be like the 70s.
yes.
The
Yeah, yeah.
70s. So, but I like actually think people are a freak. I think that we have a lot of freaks.
So what I think now is I think
think.
I think they said the average age of the people in Japan who are virgins at 30 is like an exponential number. And I'm wondering if they're, because we talked about on our show,
But how is that possible? Because they're so overpopulated. How does that happen?
not Japan isn't overpopulated.
Oh. I'm
Their
sorry.
birth rates
Yeah.
are not maintaining.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, so
Wrong country.
So what I was thinking is we had this conversation about how when I first saw a Penthouse and I saw a girl on girl sex thing,
Yeah.
that in my head I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, so looks like that's off the table now. If that's what I'm expected to do, and like, did my mom do that? Like how like sex was just like,
Yeah.
you think it's one thing because your body
Yeah.
is telling you need to go reproduce, right? All your
Yeah.
hormones and
Yeah.
everything. And then you come across that and you're like, I'm not.
What to do with that?
So is there such weird porn out there now?
Oh,
And these children have access to it at such a young age. Is it making them think, I don't want to have the dog involved? Like,
Right.
I don't want
Right.
there to be a goat in the room. I don't know what crazy stuff is
well,
out there
my
now.
kids
but-
were in 3rd grade. So how old are you at
but
3rd
you
grade?
think that has something to do with their desire? Is there's so much visual stimulation and it's not so feeling sexy and seeing sex are different things. So voyeuristically, the sex thing.
See, I think feeling sexy has nothing to do with sex. I think
Right.
feeling sexy is a feeling that comes from within inside. Somebody's calling again, but
Again. I'll try it, but
I
they've
don't
been
know.
ads. Hold on.
yeah. All right. So
No, I think it's another ad.
So, how sex and sexual attitudes have changed over the years? Like even growing up.
So I think AIDS distinctly changed sex during our generation.
Yes.
Because all of a sudden, our parents were like, "You could die,"
And you couldn't keep it. You couldn't keep it under wraps.
because in the '60s they got the pill. So
Yeah.
I think what changed sex was the addition of birth control, because there was sex with a consequence for at least the female, if not the male. Like
Yeah,
back in
yeah.
a generation, guess what? You're marrying her now.
But I feel like even through decades, sex has always been a bad thing. Like you don't talk about it. Like why wouldn't you want to? You know, to me when I think about sex is like way back in the day, or my experience of the knowledge that I had sex as a kid, it was never good. It wasn't about, it was bad. It was a sin.
So
It
my
was
parents
sin.
didn't give me the bad thing. My parents didn't make it a guilt thing, but they did make it a consequence and responsibility.
Well, see, our church, I feel like church did.
Yeah,
And what you knew
definitely.
in like our youth group, because I don't think our parents never talked to us about sex. Never.
I had enough of a conversation that I was uncomfortable that we didn't have to talk about it anymore.
But still, but it wasn't open. So it was
Yes.
always feeling like it was a taboo. So maybe not necessarily a bad thing. It just was like something that you don't talk about. So you can't answer your questions because who are you going to go to?
Dr. Ruth.
Because we didn't trust, I didn't get her.
You didn't get her. That's
I was-
right.
I was
so
Country
City
Mouse.
Yeah, City Mouse, Country Mouse.
All right. So 1920s. Loosening of social conventions, particularly regarding women's clothing and public displays of affection.
They also, I
What
love
do you
seeing the
think about-
bathing suits over the years.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
But you think about the 20s and the 30s, and I always think about like jazz bands and nightclubs with the flapper dresses, and it's all about, it's,
So I think
I
they,
know
they
that's
had
romanticized,
sex the
but-
same exact amount.
oh yeah.
I think they actually probably had more sex than now because now we have so many distractions you could almost forget.
Right. We have so
So,
much porn, you don't
I-
need another person.
I remember it was what year? It might have been the 90s. My mom, I was still living at home, so it had to be sometime in the 80s. Or was I at home in the 90s? It doesn't matter. They were saying in India to get the population under control, they were going to introduce television. Because families who had television had like 2.5 less children or some statistic. So,
Wow.
because when you think about it, what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
You got parts, I got parts. What else are you going to do?
Well, I think when everybody was locked down, wait till we got babies. We got COVID babies that are going to be, it's like a whole new baby boomer. Baby boomer too.
Yes.
But you even winter, like look at the dark winters in New England. You look at birth rates.
Yes.
They got pregnant in the winter.
Yeah, that's why I think, like, when I think of how many June, July, August, and then September, and then I don't have a ton of, like, December
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah.
Families. I have, like, one family member as a December baby.
I don't actually know my dad had a December. Everybody else is like July, and you look at
July, August,
little
September.
spring babies. And
Yeah.
1940s and 50s, a silent revolution began with attitudes shifting towards sex as a source of personal pleasure and self-expression, and not just procreation.
Yeah, that's a church thing.
60s and 70s, the sexual revolution took hold with increased acceptance of premarital sex, the availability of birth control, greater focus on individual sexual freedom. 80s, AIDS epidemic brought about a shift towards safe sex practices, and STIs were prominent.
Because of all the free love of the 60s and 70s.
Yes.
Nothing goes without consequence.
I'm sleeping in 8 different tents tonight.
A mosquito bitten. You can
Yes.
guess which one's are my nipples.
Or my razor burn.
She had nipples all over her back.
Come to me, mama. Oh my
It was
God.
so tantalizing.
Oh, so from 1990s until 2010, it says continued acceptance of premarital sex and same-sex relationships alongside the rise in online dating and hookup culture. The 20s, increased awareness and acceptance of diverse sexual orientations, gender identities, social media playing a significant role in shaping conversations about sex and relationships. I think
But I think that's
No.
That's AI. I think, like, let's talk about
talk about our personal experience.
Yeah.
Or so I grew up thinking that it's not. I didn't know sex could be what it is today, and I feel like I'm at 50 and I'm still just learning things about sex, and I'm like, wow. If I had known this, like, how better could I have prepared my own kids? Like, but because sex is a beautiful thing. I actually think it is a gift that you give to the person that you love, and to be able to be intimate and to be able to explore like your own sexual desires. It's what's inside of me. To be able to have a safe space to do that with somebody else, it's powerful. It's powerful. And I think that is way it's supposed to be intended, but we hush it all down. So I think it used
I think
to be
part of the use of porn now isn't making people understand sex is a two-way thing.
Yes.
I'm here to please you. I know how to please myself. I'm here to
Yes.
please you. You're here to please me. This is supposed to be a pleasurable thing where you're this give and take thing, where pornography and masturbation are specifically not that.
Yeah.
Then it makes you, in my opinion, feel less and less capable and more scared and awkward about doing with someone else because it's the intimacy piece.
Well,
It's the
because
vulnerability and the
yes,
intimacy
because you haven't
piece.
created a connection with that. Like, oh, hey, I've learned all this stuff by myself and I'm becoming an inner freak. But now, how do I bridge that gap and show this? Because now you're losing a communicating skill.
Mm-hmm.
Like, allowing that space for your bodies to communicate, not your words.
And I think what you lose, and I think this is why sex for boys too young is a problem. What looks good to a camera does not feel good on a body,
Yes.
right? So you're thinking one leg has to be on Saturday, one leg has to be on Tuesday,
Yes.
and that you're jumping from the
And
ceiling
your head
fan,
has to be on the floor.
right? Because you're trying to get the right angle so you can see all the goodies,
right.
right? And it ain't feeling good.
I think the best thing that feels good about sex is when you feel
just gonna
free
say
to express. So, say it, Lisa. Say it. Come on.
I'm gonna keep my impulse control down.
Oh,
I'll tell you
man.
after the
All right,
show.
tell me after the show. We got 10 minutes. I can wait. But I think that creating that space or being able to communicate to say, I think that we should change the narrative and say that sex isn't bad. Like and I do think that our generation is pushing that forward a little more.
I think because our generation had divorce in it too, as children, we had to understand our parents as sexual beings. Where, like, do you remember the first time you thought about your parents as a sexual being?
Yeah, it was actually the first time we walked in on them at the beach, and I was like, whoa,
Oh,
never thought about that before.
Thank God I didn't have that visual. But I remember it in regards to my uncle with all of his dating, like he was dating and bringing a lot of women back,
yeah.
and I just remember that being like, ew, the adults in my life are doing it. You're like, well, I was born, but that's one. They did it one time. They had no other kids.
Yeah.
They did it no other times. I don't know what's happening, but
I think I was older. I don't know, maybe 15, 16. Like my kid, yeah, we were younger when my sister and I actually accidentally walked in. But my dad had Playboy magazines underneath the counter. But I don't think that we just put it together like, ooh. Again, I grew up in Southern Baptist, hellfire and brimstone. And it was like, oh, don't look at that. That's dirty. But we always kept going back to it but still wasn't able to make the connection of like, why is this exciting me? Even though I'm like, I know I shouldn't look aroused. So I feel like for a lot of that, I pushed that away.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think about it. And I was always moving too. I was always swimming. Like I was always moving. Maybe that was just a lot of sexual energy and didn't know what to do with it.
right. And I think probably.
But when I first got married, like we had sex before we were married. When I got married, I was like, hell yeah, there's no sin. I literally thought in my mind,
So
thinking,
did it make like the relief of guilt or pressure off your mind? Did it make it more enjoyable because you didn't?
well, I
have the
felt like,
badness?
oh gosh, now I can explore. Like there's nothing off the table for me. I'm not committing a sin. I'm not being a bad person. That's how I thought because I did not know I was 21. I still didn't know anything about sex, about what I taught myself, and running around with guys. That's how I was self-starter.
I'll figure this out.
Right, but truth. I mean, I'm super vulnerable. Like I really thought like there's nothing that I can't explore right now. Unfortunately, I don't think he had the same mindset of like, we gotta stay in these lanes. And I'm like, no, marriage should mean like you've got a 8-lane highway to explore, not just a, dirt road with frost heaves on it.
We gotta get on a better
I
lane.
mean, a few of those definitely. But come on, like we have this whole highway, we have this whole world to explore. Like,
Right.
and so I just wanted somebody to lean in with me.
Right.
Well, I'm later and I got it.
Dreams do come true.
Yes. It's true.
Yeah, I do. I think I do understand like the pleasure piece of it, but younger, I remember it being a consequence piece.
Yes.
Like I
yes.
was the only girl in my family who wasn't pregnant in high school.
Wow.
And I remember wanting out of my house so badly and wanting a future away from my,
Yeah.
you know, like my own future with my own dreams and my own ideas that didn't look like this, that I thought I'll never be able to do that. If I have a kid on my hip, I will not have the opportunity
Or
to
if
do
I
that.
stay, I will be like them. That's how I kind of felt too. And not
Yeah.
to say that they're bad.
No,
It's
not
just
to say
I
that
just
it's bad.
knew
I just
knew
wasn't
wanted
ready
something-
at that time. I parented a parent
Yeah.
as a child.
Yeah.
I wanted adulthood. I wanted adulthood before I had the responsibility of kids again. So that sex and pregnancy were so linked
Yes.
in my mind during that time period that it was such a deterrent that it was like, okay, I can hold off on this.
It was
From that
it was a
standpoint.
deterrent until you met somebody that you really liked, and you're like, well, this one might be worth the risk.
Yeah.
Even though you don't want to get pregnant, because
Yeah.
as soon as it's over, it's not like you really climax like that. Like when you're a 16-year-old or
Right.
17-year-old, it's the climax is not the same. Because as soon as it's done, you're like, oh my God, please don't let me be pregnant. I swear to God, that's the truth. Can I get an amen?
Amen, sister. Amen.
Raise the roof.
Count in 15 days to
Right.
countdown in 15
And
days.
you're like, oh my God, I know. Then you got to go do quick math. When was it? When was I? I guess.
Gotta write that on the calendar.
Yes.
Robin.
I know.
Those days are long gone.
Yes. Thank God.
Thank God.
And
Do
I
you
just-
think that sex is more enjoyable without the fear of being pregnant?
Oh my God. Yes. 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 I mean, but 6 years of infertility, and it was like, then it was a goal.
Yes.
It was a goal, and it's a science, and we're gonna figure this out.
Yeah. And it's almost a chore.
So then it was just to let go. And really, I think being aligned with the right kind of partner makes you change your outlook.
Yeah. And I do think it's the pleasure principle.
Yeah.
If you don't have someone, you can have someone going into sex with you thinking, I'm going to have a great time.
Yes.
Boy, am I getting my rocks all off. And no rocks at the end of this. But if they're not
This is
thinking,
gonna be a one-person party. I did invite you, but
I'm part, you get to be included in my party, but I'm having a party.
this is gonna be some fireworks, whether you show up or not.
I don't know about for you, but for me, definitely.
Right.
So I think if you have the two-way thing, I think it's way better because you
Yes.
can have sex with someone who's just thinking,
Yeah.
right, I got to get
It's
this
just a
taken care of.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is none of that piece of it.
Yeah.
So I do think that and I do think that has to be scaring children. They
Yeah.
have an awkwardness because they don't have the full-blown communication. They have so much comparison with social
they
media.
have all these feelings, but they don't really even have the words. They don't have the words to express what is feeling, in that it's okay.
Yeah.
That it's okay to feel these things.
But I mean, they don't even have the human connection that we had because they have a device in the middle of the
Yeah,
human
you had to
connection.
go out and fight for it.
Yeah.
You wanted a boyfriend. You got to go do some work.
You had to practice your flirting.
You
had to-
cannot You can't duck face somebody on Snapchat. That did not exist.
No, and you couldn't filter yourself. You couldn't filter yourself.
Yes. Yes.
This was it. Warts and all. This is my thing.
Ta-da! My mom won't let me wear makeup.
Right? Not my fault. Yeah, my mother wouldn't let me wear makeup either. I finally got like mascara in high school
Yeah.
or something.
Catch me when I'm 18.
Right? I'm going to be adorable. Wait till I put on my outfit
Right.
that I'm picking. That my mother's not approving of.
Right. My mom used to threaten me if I didn't wear the outfits that she bought me. She was going to shop at like Dollar General or something like
Yeah,
that.
for your clothes.
Yes.
Home Depot. You're getting your dresses at Home Depot. So I will say my mother didn't do that to me. My mother did not, turn me into like Susie Q Sally or something. Like I could wear cute clothes. I could wear.
No,
a
she
bikini.
didn't. So we always had, and she actually, I love my mom's style. She has a great sense of style. But she would buy us Benetton and Esprit and Guess and all these things, and just like I had to have these pair of red Esprit pants, and I wore them with like a little black and white polka dot top, but I wouldn't wear them for the longest time. And she's like, I've spent good money on this. And then, we always had play clothes. So when you come home from school, get out of your clothes, your school clothes, change into your play clothes. And I'm like, I still have that mentality.
So that's really funny. I do too. I changed. So I had a uniform. So there was that
Yeah.
uniformity, specifically that conformity of an outfit that, and then you find it so funny that later on you find out that there's like the schoolgirl uniform fetish, and you're like, I had that. I didn't have anyone have that. Like,
Yeah.
where were you when I had a
Right.
schoolgirl outfit on?
I
Because I was
know.
just like,
I didn't
this
get that
green
feeling.
vest. I didn't get that feeling that I was all hotty toddy in this thing.
Right. But when you see one girl in a school outfit, not 100, it's a little bit different.
That's true.
right.
But she's not supposed to be in a school outfit.
Right.
That is also
So, what would you say is your best? Do you feel like you have better sex now than you ever have? Or do you feel like you can go back and look back and be like,
No, I think it only gets better. I think it only
Yeah.
gets better. And I do think the not being pregnant thing is a piece of it, worrying about that whole
Yeah.
piece of it. I also think that when you're in a long-term relationship and you have someone who cares about you and cares that when we're doing this, you're having just as good of a
Yes.
time as I'm having.
yeah,
And there is that consideration and constant attention
yeah, I
that
think
it's
just-
almost like, and I also think that that's where you have something special that you guys have that no one else has.
Yeah.
So it's something that you share. So I definitely think long-term relationship
I
sex
think
is
being
better.
vulnerable to play in that energy with somebody is
Yeah.
probably one of the most beautiful things about sex.
But I don't know that, you take me having this amazing sex that's better
Right.
now,
Right.
and you throw like some other party if it would be the same thing, because
Right.
I think you need to have someone, like I said, who
Well-
isn't thinking this is their
Well,
party and
it takes
you're lucky to
history
be here.
build. Yeah. So to me, the more I grow, it has less to do with orgasm and about the experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The act, the play.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned. Lisa,
Have a
Robin
great
on the mic. Have a